Hello, Instagram. We are live. 5 p.m. Monday. It is that time. Hello. Okay, so welcome to this live session where I am going to be in conversation with Tumelo Moreri, a spiritual healer and womb medicine woman, uh, who's going to be joining us today as someone who has experienced being in a container with me, a private container, through money medicine work, right? Tumelo Moreri invested her time, her energy, in working with me via my Sacred Abundance Mastermind, a 16 weeks mentorship program for those who desire to do money medicine work. And she did that, and now she has experienced the transformation, and today she's going to be here sharing with us her entire journey and what are some of the shifts that she got to witness and all the yummy things that she's now enjoying in her business, with her money, right? Right now, I'm going to be accepting her request to join, and so yeah, please welcome her. Tumelo, we are waiting for you. Say hello as soon as you're able to join us.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God, you look so amazing.
Thank you so much. You are gorgeous yourself. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with us today. It is a pleasure having you in our money medicine space.
Thank you. It's such a joy and an honor to be here as well.
We are so blessed. How are you, Tumi? How have you been? How's your day? How's your day going?
I'm traveling tomorrow
Uh-huh.
and I have a big presentation on Wednesday. So that has been like those traveling vibes and big
Mm.
presentation vibes have been the theme of my day. But it's work that is deeply exciting. Like it represents expansion for my work. So yeah, while there are some nerves, like I'm just deeply grateful for it and also just deeply honored to be doing this work and being of service in these ways.
Yeah, I get those traveling vibes. I get what you mean. I usually will overdo everything and pack way beyond that I need. When I love that I never forget anything. Although the day before I travel is usually so stressful because yeah, I have to think about a lot of stuff. But one thing I got to learn from my mom was that write at least a list of items you're going to need and section them and make sure they're all in and taken. So I hope if you've not been doing that, I hope that
I'm
would be
gonna do
helpful.
that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
yes. And of course, I do wish you all the best vibes in your travels and all the safety.
Thank
Definitely,
you.
I celebrate that it's an expansive trip, you know?
Mm, mm.
Yeah, we
Thank
have
you.
we
Thank
have
you.
beautiful people joining us today. They are excited to hear what you are going to be sharing with us through your experience in doing money medicine work. Hi, beautiful people. Thank you for being here. Okay, Tumi. So just a little bit. Tumi is going to expand on this, but for those of you who are just meeting Tumi right now, she is a spiritual healer. She's a womb medicine woman for women leaders mostly. She helps women leaders to heal their inner wounds and the inner womb pains so that they can get to experience all the pleasure, all the confidence in the body and in their lives. She is one of the most amazing souls that God decided to to make part of my life, and I am so happy that you get to know her as well here. To me, Say hi and let us know who you are. Expand more about who you are, the work you do, and if you can, tell us how it landed for you to say that I know who I am. I'm a money medicine woman. A womb medicine woman, and I'm a spiritual healer. Who is Tumi and how did you get here?
Oh my God. Yeah, that it's like a thesis question, hey?
Mm,
Yeah, so hi everyone, such a joy to be here. So as introduced, I am Tumelo Moreri and I am based in Botswana. So I am from Botswana. I was born here. I grew up here. And I also had the opportunity to study like my um, tertiary studies. I had the pleasure of studying in South Africa. So I spent 7 years in South Africa. And
mm,
that made South Africa essentially my second home. So this travel that I have tomorrow is to South Africa. So yeah, I'm so happy to be going back or visiting this place that is my second home, right? And so
mm,
it was during my tertiary studies. So I studied at the University of the Free State. It was during my
mm,
tertiary studies that I got like deeply interested in matters of spirituality. And it was also while there that I had possibly my first biggest spiritual awakening, where I knew I wanted to live a life of purpose, of meaning, and where I was also fulfilled, in the work that I did or that I offered, or that I was being of service through in the world, right? And yeah, like fast forward to 2014, 2015, that's when I started, doing a lot of research. It was essentially just for my own benefit, but I got deeply interested, in matters. At the time I didn't know, but
yeah,
it was essentially on matters around, the sacral center, the womb space, and the bodies of women, right? So including just womb wellness, matters of our cycles as women, sexuality, sensuality, creativity, all the vibes. And, like arriving at this moment, even just the past 2 years, it's been all coming together that all of that interest, all the spiritual awakening moments, were leading
yeah,
to this moment where I'm now being of service in the world as a spiritual healer and, as somebody who specializes in womb healing and womb medicine.
mm,
Yeah, which is, yeah, it's work that really excites me. So womb medicine work includes intimacy work, pleasure work, sexual healing, just all matters to do with, the womb. Yeah, another one, I'm possibly also a body shaman because
mm,
womb medicine work is really the work of the body,
yeah,
and although I serve mostly women leaders, this is why we say mostly.
yeah,
It's not only women leaders, right?
mm,
This is a work of all women and also of all men, because even
mm,
though men don't have physical wombs, they actually have energetic wombs, creative portals and creative spaces as well.
mm.
Yes. Okay.
Ooh. Ah, I love how you were called into this work through just your own curiosity, your mind telling you, you know what, let's read about this, let's check on this, let's learn on this. And you're
Mm.
becoming, transforming into this very woman now who is now leading other people and helping other people heal. That is just beautiful. I do see God as work in calling you into the things that he knew of. Even in a time when you were in tertiary, that time when I was in tertiary, I was freaking out about getting the best marks. I honestly am one of those
Yeah.
people who was not even thinking about what is my papers. In fact, it used to really stress me to think about my papers, like what should I be doing and stuff. So I
Mm,
celebrate that.
mm.
It for you it was an early awakening, right? So to me there is so much you could tell us, right? You are someone who's has a lot of experiences in her journey in building herself up. But I want to go to the moment where Tumelo Moreri is now, a medicine woman, is a spiritual healer who has her own online business, and she's seeing the importance of being paid for this work, right? And also, honestly, it's being compensated for the great work that she knows is important for the people, right? I want to go to a moment where you decided that, okay, listen, I'm going to send Nonofang an email, and I'm going to apply for money medicine work. What was happening around that time for you? Just pre pre the application. What was happening, and what made you email me, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was seeing a lot of flames, Shem. So that moment was preceded by possibly 6 months, right, of a period of a minor depression in my life, right? So this minor depression was as a result of just one of the initiatory journeys, in the life
Yeah.
of a spiritual healer, right? But like embedded within that period also was just having my business not working out, yeah. So just as a background, after I completed my studies in actuarial science and mathematics, I got a job for like 18 months. So coming
Mm,
into this work, I had worked for a bit, right?
yeah.
And set off to go do my work of purpose, which eventually led to me starting a business, a spiritual business as a spiritual healer, right? And I think at the time I was like 2 years
Yeah.
into running my business, right?
Yes.
And it just wasn't working, right?
Mm,
Also, I remember telling my one mentor at the time, I was like, yo, Namma, I've just tried everything and I'm
mm,
gonna get a part-time job as like somebody who transcribes on the internet, because it's
yeah.
just not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
But fortunately, I had her ear, and her guidance to really challenge me to say, but Timi, have you truly tried everything? And so in
Mm,
writing you that email, it was after I had really recommitted myself to the work, and just put into perspective why I'm doing this work, and
mm,
I realized that I also needed support, while I
mm,
was doing, the more external work
yeah.
of, being visible with my business, putting my work out there, showing up consistently, doing my podcast, I
Yeah.
appreciated that I also needed to do the inner work of money and the inner
Mm,
work of my business. So it was really just a marriage or a realization that I needed a marriage of those two, right?
mm.
And yeah, what better person to help me
I
than
love,
this man? Yeah, than you.
yeah. Mm. I love what you're saying there. And for someone who is right now um, a spiritual healer or running their own spiritual business, to me, you were doing the marketing, which is like I show up every day. I tell people about my work. I do my podcast.
Mm-mm.
I know the work that I do. So just to clarify, what is not working? Is it I get clients, they don't pay, or sometimes I get like sometimes I don't? Just two things that can
Mm.
make someone feel like what you mean when you say it's not working, because this person is probably also really showing up like you did, and you're one of the most
Mm.
hardworking people I know. You know?
Oh, that's thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, um, at the time when I said it wasn't working, I essentially
Mm,
meant that I wasn't getting clients, right? And I
mm,
wasn't getting like a consistent and reliable income in my business, right? Yeah.
mm.
While there are many metrics with which we can measure a business working out, right? At the
Absolutely.
time, yeah, my biggest pain was just that I've decided to do this thing full time. I have said
Mm.
yes to the to God and to the ancestors, but where are my clients, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would get a client like once in a while, but I was just having like financial troubles, major financial troubles, and not being able to fully rely or trust that my business will support me financially.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, thank you so much for just clarifying and sharing on that. Um, I can imagine that this is what a lot of us go through. Even I have been through that. So I can relate to the frustration of like truly knowing the profound work that you are here to offer, and also truly being of service to it by saying that, you know what, I left my job. You mentioned that you were working before, and because you understood the value of the work that you were meant to do, you were like, I would love to for now resign and give this business, and give more than anything, give this spiritual calling and purpose a chance, right? And the
Mm.
frustration that a lot of us have is that we sometimes it's possible to think that, oh, because I'm doing all the things, then it means that even with the money, the people will just come flowing in. I used to imagine that there'll be a line of people waiting for me to just buy, to just invest and be like, yes, 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 I need to be working with you. So I learned it the hard way, and I can totally relate to how to how you were going through. And to me, by the way, she sent me this email, or we started working together thereafter. This was in 2021, around, I think around August, September, right?
Mm.
Uh, yes, yes. So, okay, so we get to start doing the work, right? I get to receive this beautiful email from you. I'm excited. And then we begin the money medicine work, right? Take us through your experience. Was it what you expected? Was it what you thought? How did it go? How you thought it would go? What was happening, especially, yeah, in those early months? Because this was 12 weeks, although I feel like it ended up being 14 weeks or so of us engaging every week, and every week there would be something that we are moving through in terms of money and all the things, right? So
Mm.
share with the audience like what became your experience in this work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Giggling in a good way, because it's definitely not what I expected.
Mm.
I'm not sure if the internet issues are on my end. Are they on my end?
Are there internet
Okay.
issues?
Yeah, because I've been seeing my screen becoming frozen and stuff. But
Oh,
for now it's okay, right?
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So y'all who are joining us here, you might often hear many medicine women or many healers saying it
Yeah.
is about the money, but it's not about the money, right?
Yeah.
And so and so that was one of my biggest highlights from the work, that it is about the money, but it's also not about the money at all right?
Mm.
Meaning that in doing the money healing work, we'll be attending to things that we normally wouldn't think have anything to do with money. But then as
Mm.
you do the work, like there's a huge impact in your money, or there are huge dividends
Yeah.
to be earned or experienced, by doing the work, right?
Mm.
Um, Also, second, we did this work in 2021, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And I had started doing my own personal healing work in 2019, like in
Yeah.
earnest. I had done
Yeah.
work before since 2014, right? But in
Mm.
my mind, I had thought that between 2019 and 2021, when we started doing the work, that, oh my
Yeah.
God, I have done some money work. This was me, right?
Yeah.
I was truly, truly convinced that I had done some money work in my life, right? And so
Mm.
I think after the first session, I just sat down and I like just solidly looked back and I was like, truly, how much money work have I done? And I
Yeah.
realized that I had probably had only 2 sessions in my life of money work. One was like a masterclass just being taught. Another one, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't
Yeah.
healing work, right?
Yeah.
So those were like just right at the initial, the two
Mm.
biggest surprises for me, that I had thought I had done money work before, which I
Yeah.
hadn't. Maybe I had learned, like just listened to some money wisdom, you know.
Yeah.
And also just the biggest one was that, you know, the things that were making it difficult for me to make money through my business had
Mm.
very little to do with money itself, right?
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
I love that. I love that you are bringing up the issue of, I thought I had done money work because, yes, you had done inner work and healing before. And thank you even so much for highlighting the examples of, like, I watched a master class and I thought, okay, this means I've done money work, because I see it as something that people do it unknowingly, where you will read a lot of books, right? We buy a lot of books that, you know, where someone is like millionaire mindset, right? We watch master classes, and sometimes after reading that book for some time, you are really motivated that it means that I'm going to be a millionaire. And you imagine that because I do the financial literacy, because I'm reading these books and I listen to motivational talks around, yes, you can do it. Then you imagine that this means that, yes, I have done money work, and therefore this is what it'll take for me to be creating money or monetizing my gifts, right? Speak
Mm.
more into that. Speak more into the some of the things that you became even more aware of with your money, that you realize that, oh my God, this is something that I have been taking lightly, or that I've been doing and I wasn't even aware that it's part of um it's part of the work that I need to be doing in order to be expanding my money, or in order for me to be, yeah, to be expanding my consciousness around money. Speak more into that.
Mm.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yo, what a journey I had, guys. Yo, first it dragged me, I should tell you, okay? First,
Right.
it deeply dragged me, brought all my wounds and my traumas to the surface.
Yeah.
And obviously, as we were doing that work, you know, I started to see results even before the program was done, right? Which is something that I deeply celebrate for the work that I did with Nunofang. So for me, like just one of the biggest things to emerge was regarding my relationship with money, all right? So again, I had previously attended master classes where we were, you know, being taught and doing some exercises around our relationship with money. I thought
Yeah.
we were cool, money and
Yeah.
I, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. Until this one, like it was just one of the first 3 or first 5 sessions that we did, you know, where we just went into the inner landscape and looked at my relationship with money, like just at an energetic level, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the mind-blowing things to discover from this inner journey was how I had energetically, I had this layer around me, and it was as though money was just hovering outside of this bubble, you know, that I'm
Yeah.
in, right? Such that there was a deep disconnect between myself and money, right? Even if I was really trying, you know, or trying to connect with money, there was this big energetic disconnect, you know, where I couldn't like almost like communicate or interact or engage with money, right? And when we looked deeper into why that was the case, it led us to inner wounding around the masculine, right? The
Yeah.
masculine as an energy, and also the masculine in human form, you know,
Yeah.
in terms of my relationship with my father, my relationship with my brother, my relationship with my uncles. I
Mm.
mean, okay, when after a while of doing this work, you get to learn about the relationship between the masculine and money, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it was a deeply moving experience to see it so and to experience it so intimately that it
Mm.
is so real, you know, because of the abandonment or the neglect I had experienced, you know, in my relationship with my dad, my brother, my uncles. Here I
Mm.
was now experiencing abandonment, rejection, neglect by this energetic resource, you know,
Yes.
of money, right? Yeah, so
Mm.
that was like really a big one for me. It always
Yeah.
comes out first when you ask me, so how was your journey? I'm like, oh my God, I was so deeply disconnected. I had no relationship whatsoever with
Mm.
with um with money. And may I just say,
Mm.
um, before us here, guys, sits a very skilled money medicine woman. Because
Ah.
in that session, we were able to, you know, break that barrier. So it was like just an energy, it was an energetic barrier. We're able to do healing, you know, for that masculine wound, you know, which dated to past lifetimes, right? This is how
Yeah.
good she is, okay? And we're also able to break that barrier, energetic barrier between me and money. And, you know, that began to bring about a sense of intimacy and connection between me and money,
Mm.
which was so beautiful to experience. Profound and very beautiful. Yeah.
Ah. Oh, Tibi, thank you so much for just sharing on this, because I feel like you are just even highlighting to our audience that sometimes we think that money is so separate from one, how we grew up or some of the experiences that we had, and just getting to understand that money, most of the time you're going to realize that your relationship with the masculine being, you know, your guardian, or the your male guardian, your father, the uncles, the brother, and it's not so much about, you know, like whether they're good people or bad or character wise. No, it's about how the experience you've had of them. And this is sometimes an unconscious thing that happens for a lot of us. What we need to understand is that with money, it's so much about safety, you know, your ability
Mm,
to call in money and create money. Like Tumi was mentioning the issue of like, I'm showing up but money's not coming to the business. It's about how safe do you feel to call in this masculine. It is in
mm,
a way like calling in even a man. Like, what does a
yes.
man mean to you? And unconsciously there are times
Mm,
when a man will mean different things. Like, unconsciously a man can mean, oh, danger. Unconscious, like I remember even as a student,
mm,
sometimes when I walked home, seeing a man, sometimes unconsciously I'll just start to freak out. Like, I don't know what he could do. He could kidnap me and all the things. So you can imagine
mm,
such an experience has
mm,
nothing to do with money. But when you come into
yes.
the money medicine work, you realize that, oh, the fact that you can see a man physically and imagine danger and imagine he could kidnap me, you also may
Mm,
imagine or may start disconnecting from money as a masculine energy. That what will
mm,
money do
sure.
to me? Is money going to cost me to like lose my friends, or is money going to leave me sometimes when I think it's just about to, I'm about to have that breakthrough? And these are
Yeah.
things that we experience without even realizing that, oh my God, this is impacting my money issue. So I just love that you are openly sharing this, right?
Mm, mm,
um you mentioned that, you had mentioned that, you know, how this was the disconnection from money was, you found that, oh, there is that separation you feel with money, right? There is that disconnection, and it's more of an energetical thing, right? So for someone
mm.
who right now does not even understand what you mean, what would you say some of the things we can look at for, or other people can look at for, in terms of like what physically happens, or what are some of the things that you will physically witness when you are disconnected from money, or when you feel like, uh, my relationship with money is off, and there's that neglect that I feel physically? What's happening?
Sure, but you know what I love about this conversation? I mean, one, money is a taboo topic, right? In
Uh,
our society, we don't talk about money, right?
mm,
And here we are on a beautiful Monday afternoon,
yeah,
having a very open conversation about money and the ways
yeah,
in which money has been dribbling us, or just how our pain and trauma has been dribbling us in matters of money.
yeah,
So I'm gonna share what I was experiencing in my own personal life when
yeah.
I was disconnected energetically from money, right?
Mm,
Um, I guess like a very overarching experience would be that lack of money in my life, that I experienced. And maybe you could speak to this later, but when I was in employment, I did get a salary, right?
mm, mm,
But when I stepped on the path of, following my purpose and pursuing my divine gifts, right, and building a business around that, there was
mm,
this big difficulty in
yeah,
making money, right? Yeah, so there was just that overarching lack of money in my life, right? And one of the big work that I did with Nunufang was around my bank account, right? And
yeah.
so some of the patterns that we got to see in my bank account, thank God we're in a better relationship now, me and my bank account. So I had this pattern of negative balances, guys, right? We went deep into my bank account, or as I was studying it, I realized there's this very insidious pattern of negative balances, and of, yeah, there was another pattern around my bank account. Yeah, but that was a primary one. There was just also a lack of relationship of not knowing what's happening in my bank account. So
Yeah.
yeah. So one of the assignments I had was of getting like all my 12 bank statements from the previous 12 months and studying them. And that had never happened, right?
Mm,
And yeah, I just didn't know money in my life. Hey?
mm,
And I suppose these negative bank balances, were a reflection of this woman who wasn't experiencing money in her life in
mm,
abundance, right? There was also like a pattern of like payments that would fail, right? So yeah. Oh my God. Why am I forgetting my pattern of debts, guys? Yeah,
mm,
we also realized that I had a very painful pattern of
mm,
accumulating debt, right?
mm, mm.
And yeah, it was painful in the sense that it would be like smaller debts here and
Yeah.
there and there and there and over there, and that would collectively amount to a big value, right?
Mm,
And obviously when you have debt and you're not necessarily making money, that makes for such a painful living
yeah.
experience on earth, right? You don't know
Yeah.
when next you're going to get money and your debts are growing. And quite like interestingly as well, I was also very oblivious to this
Mm,
pattern of debt in my life until we
mm,
looked at it together, right? And when we went deeper and did the work, we realized this was an ancestral pattern. It's something that runs within my lineage of women getting into debt, of women like just spending excessively. So there was
yeah.
that as well, just excessive spending, which I suppose comes from like a scarcity consciousness. Whatever little money we had, we
Mm,
would spend very quickly. So that pattern of debt, of spending excessively, it's, yeah, it's quite prevalent in my lineage, right? So yes, yes. Let me put a comment there. I hope I've answered your question.
You have, but interestingly, I want to know. So, in moments, I believe that it's not like you never had ever had money, right? So, in moments one or two where you would actually have the money, what would happen, or what would be that experience with that money you just received?
Can I remember? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay, that's okay. You know, I love that you are even sharing the issue of small debts that accumulate, because this is something that we experience, especially in the early years of our businesses, where at first you take for granted the fact that you owe that little amount, and then soon after that you realize that, oh my god, it has accumulated. And the thing that we have to realize as people is that debt is not the same for other people, right? It's not the same. Like, we will not experience debt the same way as people. Sometimes, like Tumi had mentioned, that we got to discover that this is something that is actually a pattern that exists in her lineage. For her, it's not like she had this huge amount of debt, but it was because of the density of the pattern that existed already. It became something that is noticeable and heavy because of the fact that it's an existing energy within her lineage. Therefore, even for her, by the time she has what someone else could be like, oh, these are little debts, they don't feel little for her because of the pattern, right?
Yes,
So this is
yes.
something that someone just has to understand, that to another person right now could be owing a million and more, but to them the debt may not be heavy, especially if in that family debt is something that they get to pay off through bonuses, through lump sum, through big deals of business. So it's like, oh, I can get this million, and within 6 months I'll be done. While for another person, just 100K could take 10 years. I know how ridiculous I sound, but it could take 10 years because of like the energy and the density that exists. And yes, I love the example you gave of like, when sometimes you are disconnected from money, you might find that you barely even check, you know, your bank account. You barely look through your financial statements and say, what is going on, what is happening. You actually might want to look away. So yes.
I've
Thank you for that.
remembered. I've
Yeah.
remembered the thing I had forgotten
Oh,
of
okay.
what I would do when I got money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh wow. Hey, Batumba Mudimu. So for me, it seemed, or it became apparent that I couldn't hold money, right? Like energetically, I couldn't hold money. Or just didn't have the capacity to hold money, which means I couldn't keep money, right? When money came in, it had to go somewhere. So those, remember earlier how I mentioned that there was a pattern in my bank account of payments that would fail, right?
Yeah.
And that's because whenever there was, like growth in my finances, I would want to quickly invest in something to put this money into, right? And then
Yeah.
would later not be able to honor the future payments of that investment, right? Yeah, so there was that, which I think is linked to the pattern of like excessive spending. I could never really like sit next to money, or just have money chilling in my account, right? Which has been one
Yeah.
of the results of my work with Nonofang. I can literally just chill, like have money
Yeah.
in my account and not bothered. I just open my app and I look at it, say hello, and it's chilled. Yeah, which was
Yeah.
not the experience before. It had to be spent now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, because you even mentioned how, you know, the bigger part of the work we did was around the masculine and abandonment. I just want to live and link it to the audience that when sometimes you find that you struggle to keep money, you struggle to hold money in your bank account, there is where that relationship between money is reflecting. It's more like money is abandoning me at an energetical
Yes,
level,
yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
just bringing in the whole circle. So
Mm, mm.
yeah, yeah. So according to you, to me, one of what would be the core wound that, or the core thing that you feel like you have really deeply worked on with within your, in doing your money work, and now you can even switch to, okay, so these are the results that I got to experience, even if it's after the work, right?
Mm, mm.
Or how,
Um,
yes, so the wound and how you overcame it, and how you got to process it, and yeah.
mm, mm. Okay. So for me, like three things come up when you ask that question, right? Or
Yeah.
whenever I'm just thinking, oh my God, like what just happened here with Nonofang?
Yeah.
One, it was the one of the three biggest things for me was around healing my relationship with money. I know it's
Mm,
broad work, but I believe we did a significant chunk of it that began
mm,
to move things in my life. So
yeah.
yeah, I think for me, it quickly became evident that a huge part of my struggle with money was energetic, right?
Mm, mm,
I had done tons of healing work, had gotten clarity around, my service offering, had gotten clarity around who I'm called to serve, yet money
mm,
wasn't coming in. So it made sense that a huge chunk of those troubles were energetic in nature, right?
yeah.
And then second, it's still connected to that, but it was work around the masculine
Yeah.
and yeah, the energy, masculine, the energy and masculine in human form, all right?
Mm,
I had done some healing work. Even the first time I went for therapy, I wanted to do work around my father, but we ended up having to do work around my mother.
yeah.
So my father wound, even just the wound around the masculine, hadn't really been touched. So we had
Mm,
an opportunity to do some work around that, which
mm,
I'm deeply, deeply grateful for.
mm.
And we also got to do work around, yo, guys, the mother wound. Yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mother wound, which is often, responsible for self-sabotage,
Mm,
for our imposter syndrome, right? Especially self-sabotage, right?
yeah.
And also having a lack of boundaries. So what is also interesting about this money work that we did was that it seems, yeah, we really can't do money work without doing boundary work.
Yeah. Definitely.
Which is very, very interesting and beautiful to experience, just to see the ways in which I was lacking boundaries, as a result
Mm,
of, the pain and the wounding I had experienced in my relationship with my mother, which was keeping me
mm,
from fully stepping into my power,
mm,
as a woman leader, and occupying space in my work. So,
mm,
boundary work, radical decision making, I'll call it
mm.
that, right? Yeah. Yeah, because I've experienced, for us to begin to also experience, financial abandonment, we need to step into radical decision making, choosing,
Yeah.
just deciding I'm
Yeah.
only going to offer my work on Instagram, period.
Mm,
I'm only
yeah.
going to teach through my podcast, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Often we dilly dally because there's still that pain and that wounding that we still need to work on. So the work we did around the mother wound helped greatly with just boundary work. As a
Mm,
businesswoman, flip, we need to have like a very dedicated and committed container for our work, right? Yet
yeah.
for a lot of us, and I guess especially as Black women, we tend to feel, I felt it, that I had to choose between my business and family sometimes.
Mm,
Sometimes I had to choose between my mother and my family. And what also came up was that there was a lot of loyalty at a very subconscious level to my mother, to her beliefs around wealth, around abundance, around what was possible for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was like a lot of like very subtle and subconscious loyalty to to my mother, and yeah, the life that she has experienced, because
Yeah.
sometimes we can keep ourselves from experiencing financial abundance because we're afraid of leaving our mothers behind or leaving our families behind, which came up for
Yeah.
me in the work. And so that radical decision, it was a really radical choice making, choosing that I choose to step onto a new timeline, even if it means leaving my family behind. We're not really leaving them behind, but the inner child thinks I'm
Yeah.
leaving them behind. Because in you
Yes.
getting to experience financial abundance, you're elevating the lineage, right? So
Mm.
there was really, and I guess you guys in the audience can see within each of the themes, like if you're speaking motherhood, there's a lot that happened that we did covered underneath this theme,
Yeah.
even under masculine healing, and even
Mm.
under the relationship with money. So it was deeply profound work that changed my life.
I love it.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
of course, it's no surprise that the big things that we worked on was the mother wound, the father wound, and the boundaries. And because honestly, this is because these are the mother, father are usually the people we witness from a young age.
Mm,
From the
mm,
moment your mom is breastfeeding you and she's thinking, hey, I need to pay this and that. As a child, you are just tapping into mom stress, but you can't comprehend what she's saying, right? So
mm,
just these are the people that we really witness. You witness your dad and how he talks about money and what he does, your mom. So I really understand why it became the thing that had to be the area where we do most of the healing, right?
mm,
And I love that you speak about the power of decision making, like learning to now be decisive, because this creates a solid container of like this is the timeline that I choose for my business, and this is how I'm going to operate things. And yes, indecision tends to cause a great delay in a lot of our finances, and sometimes leads to that financial stagnancy. Honestly, beneath the financial stagnancy that we experience of the lack is where there is a layer of not making the decision of like, what is the thing that I need to do?
mm,
Should I go see a coach? Should I go see a financial planner?
mm,
Whom should I see? I need to work through this, right?
mm,
So for someone who's thinking, oh my God, it's all about energy work, healing work, subconscious work, and that they're like, interesting. What is the practical stuff that we got to do though? Were there any practical stuff in the money medicine work we did that you feel
oh
like, yeah,
yeah.
this I got to realize that yeah, this is something I can take on and start practicing within my money? Yeah. Maybe just
Yeah.
highlighting that. Yeah.
Um, See, now I got excited and I didn't get to hear the question clearly. Should I speak to the physical results that I got or that I experienced?
Oh, okay. Yes. You may start with like the practicals that we did, and now drum roll the results or some of the things that you experience even after the program. But I'm just bringing in the issue of practicality or some of the exercises that you found profound in practice,
Mm.
just so that someone doesn't think, oh, we were all caught up in just the healing and the energetic work, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yes, because I have a favorite practice. But before I get to that one, I think we've already mentioned like the work around the bank account, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in my head, I call it fall in love with your bank account. So
Yes.
I fell in love with my bank account.
And we must just
Um,
mention that this is a tagline that a profound and beautiful money coach does, Vangile Makwaka. So I understand why you'd call it that. Yes. Just
yes,
giving her
yes.
credit. Yes.
Yes, yes, yeah. Definitely. Thank you for that. You know, we do need to credit
Yeah.
people, especially women,
Yes.
for their work. Yes, yes.
Mm.
Thank you for that.
So that 10-9%.
So
Yeah.
yes. So yeah, I think we have already spoken about the work we did around the bank account, right?
Mm.
Um, as as simplistic as it may sound, it's quite profound work, right? Of just
Yeah.
getting statements from the past 12 months and studying them, right? Because that helped me to begin to cultivate a relationship with my bank account. Like just
Yeah.
by looking at what's happening in your bank account, as you would look into the eyes of a lover or engage in conversation with a lover,
Yeah.
just by doing that, you are, you know, stepping into relationship with that lover and yeah, by extension with your bank account, right? And just
Yeah.
also looking at the patterns in my bank account, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore getting to see my own patterns, you know, because those patterns in my bank account are my footprints, you know, in how
Yeah.
I relate and engage with money, right?
Mm.
So yeah, that was one of the big ones. And then the second one, I'm probably gonna leave the last one, the best one for last.
Okay.
Because yeah, because I mean, I'm a service provider. I
Mm.
am a spiritual healer. I offer my work through once-off immersions and long-term, you know, healing containers.
Yeah.
One of the profound work that we did was digging into those offers, right?
Mm.
So
Yes.
something, yeah. So something very interesting that emerged was that um, often we might struggle to charge because our inner being, our inner children has not yet bought into what we're selling, or
Yes.
they have not yet bought into the value, right,
Yeah.
of what we're selling. And so you
Mm.
might be, you know, doing live streams on Instagram telling people, I have a great offer. If all of yourself has not is not on board with that, there might
Mm.
be challenges in actually calling in clients and making money, right? So
Yes.
one of the things that I'm deeply, deeply grateful for was how we really invested time and energy in digging into my offers, and where you helped me, Nunafan, to to see the value in my offers and to also assign value, like monetary value to
Mm.
my work, right? Which
Yes.
greatly helped me to charge what I charge and to know that my work is actually worth that amount and actually
Yeah.
so much more, right?
Mm.
Yeah, such that when I do charge $80 for my
Mm.
once off session, I know that that is the value of
Yes.
my work and probably so much more, you know?
Mm.
So that was of huge, huge value. So thank you so much for it. I'm so like, yeah, it was such a profound exercise, which I wish for all entrepreneurs across the board, you know, even if they're not service providers, is like just have somebody hold space for you and say,
Mm.
you determine the value of your work, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that feels complete. Yeah, there's a lot to say about it. And then third, this is something that Nonofan teaches a lot in her live streams. I first learned it, I think, in 2020 when I was
Mm.
watching one of her live streams and she was preaching that we need to have a requirement list for our
Mm.
money. She's like,
Yeah.
guys, like money should not catch you unaware in your life,
Yeah.
you know, at any given point, because also we need to always be expecting to receive money. If you're
Absolutely.
somebody, you know, who you want to be in that space of always expecting to receive money,
Yeah.
you cannot not have a requirement list, meaning
Yeah.
if